Welcome back, team. So in this video, we'll cover everything that we need to know in order to practice using the slope formula this week. Remember that when using the slope formula, we have m is equal to y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. For this first question, we're asked to find the slope of the line that goes through the points 2, 1 and 4, 7. Here are my points 2, 1 and 4, 7. Now, if you recall, ordered pairs give you the x and y values. So all I have to do when using the slope formula is substitute. So I'm going to take y2, which happens to be the second y in my set of ordered pairs, and I would substitute and place that 7. y1 would be the first y in my ordered pair. So if I'm looking at this and seeing x, y, xy, that would be 1. So 7 minus 1 would be in our numerator. And then x2 minus x1, which would be my values for x2 and x1. That's right, 4 minus 2. So I'd write 4 minus 2 there. Simplify. 7 minus 1 is 6. 4 minus 2 is 2. So what's our slope? That's right, our slope would be 3. That's one way we can apply using the slope formula with the equation for slope. But mister, what if I can't remember it? y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. What do I do now? I'm glad you asked. There are so many different mnemonic devices that people use to remember things. I found one that could be helpful for you. Now, if you don't like the words, you can come up with new ones, but you get the idea. These mnemonic devices will help you remember things, such as the order in which you're writing y2, x2, y1, x1. The one that I found goes like this. Dog bites cat's arms. Forgive me if you're a cat lover. Dog bites cat's arms. The way that this works is if you have those two ordered pairs, you would simply label them A, B, C, D, and then wherever you see A, B, C, or D, you would substitute those values. And so I see D comes first, so I would write 7. I see the B comes next, that's my 1. Then the C, that's 4. And then finally the A, that's 2. This would yield the same thing that we did before, 6 over 2. Which is 3. It's a mnemonic device that may be helpful for you to remember the placement of y and x values in the slope formula. You could also find slope when given these two ordered pairs by plotting them on a graph. 2, 1, let's see on this graph, 2 is my x-axis, and 1 here, that's 2, 1, and then plotting my second point, 4, 7, which would be way up here. Let's pretend it's 4, 7 up here. And then remembering that slope is that vertical distance over the horizontal distance. We know this is rise over run. So the vertical distance between this point and this, oh, well, that's 6 points. I know that because my y-axis minus my 1 on the y-axis here would be 7 minus 1 is 6. And then the difference between the horizontal values, 2 and 4, that's a difference of 2. So again, my rise is 6, my run is 2. Look at that, my slope is going to be the same if I use my equation, if I use that mnemonic device, or if I graph the 2 points on the line, I'll get the same exact slope. For question number 2, we're asked to write the equation for the line with a slope of 10 and a y-intercept of 0, -5. Slope-intercept form. Do you remember what that is? That's right, it's y is equal to, come on, help me out here. Y is equal to, yes, mx plus b, where m, that's our slope. Do you remember what b is? That's right, it's our y-intercept. And in this problem, we're given a couple of things. We're told that the slope is 10, and we're told that the y-intercept would be 0, -5. What that means is that the line crosses our graph, it crosses the y-axis at -5. So we're actually already given some things that we could use to substitute into our line. So instead of writing y is equal to mx plus b, we would write down our slope is 10, our y-intercept is -5. And I can write that in 2 ways. I can write that down as plus -5, or I can write it down as y is equal to 10x minus 5. Either one of those equations would be correct for example number 2. So for question number 3, we get to practice graphing some of these equations now using our slope-intercept form. So let's do that. First with an integer and then with a fractional slope as our example. Normally when we have a slope-intercept form equation like this, I like to start with the y-intercept, so it helps me to start to plot that first point, right? So I've got my slope-intercept form of y is equal to 2x plus 3, and I know that 3 is where my line is going to cross that y-axis. So I can go ahead and start to label some things that I know. That's my y-intercept. So I'm going to place my first line there, or my first dot on the line, at 3. Then I notice that my slope here, my rise over run, is 2 over 1. So I can start to draw some more points on that grid, or on that plane. So my rise is 2. I'm going to go up 2, 1, 2, and then over 1. That's going to be my point. Now, if I've run out of room already, I can go backwards. Right? I can write down 1 and then move down 2. This would be another point. And then I can draw that line. You're getting straighter every week, kids. To show my y is equal to 2x plus 3 on this graph. What about if the slope was fractional? Like let's say it's 2/3 x plus 1. Now once again, I can see that 1 is my y-intercept, so I can start there by placing a dot on my y-axis for 1. And then work my way using the slope of 2/3. It's already written down as a fraction, which is nice and clean because my fraction I know, remember, slope is rise over run, so I can write down 2 over 3 as my slope and move 2 spaces up and then 3 spaces over. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. This would be another place, and I can go backwards just the same. 3 spaces over, 1, 2, 3, and then 2 spaces down, 1, 2. And then use a straight edge to connect those dots. I've got my line on the graph that shows y is equal to 2/3 x plus 1. For example number 4, we're asked to write the equation of the line that passes through, here are my 2 points, 2, 5 and 4, 9. And we're asked to write this in slope-intercept form. What's that slope-intercept form? Again, That's right, it's y is equal to mx plus b. So what do we do with these 2 points? Well, first, we could actually go back to that first example to use to find what slope would be. So I'm going to write that equation down to find slope. M is equal to y2 minus y1, x2 minus x1. And since I'm given 2 ordered pairs, I can simply go ahead and annotate these to help me remember what my x values are as opposed to my y values are, and then I can just substitute. And write down m is equal to y2 minus y1, that's 9 minus 5, over, what's x2 minus x1? It's 4 minus 2. Let's simplify there by subtracting 9 minus 4. No, that's 4. Sorry, 9 minus 5 is 4. 4 minus 2, that's 2. So my slope would be 2. So I've got part of my equation down. Y is equal to 2x plus b. But what's the b? How would I do that? Well, I could actually take one of these ordered pairs and just substitute, since I know that this is an x value and a y value. So let's do that. I'm going to erase this real quickly and then use this same equation. Y is equal to 2x plus b. I don't know what b is yet, but if I substitute for one of these x and y values, I can figure that out. So let's do that with 2, 5. How about that? If I know that y is equal to 5, and in this ordered pair, x is equal to 2, I can figure out what b is going to be. So 5 is equal to 2 times 2. What's 2 times? That's right, it's 4. Plus b. Oh, I know what that is, but just to use some inverse operations here, I'll figure this out. 5 minus 4. B has to be equal to 1. And so not only do I have my slope now, I have my y-intercept, or my letter b, which is 1. My final answer for question number 4, y is equal to 2x plus 1. So now here's where you get to practice. Remember that you can rewind and pause at different points of the video to help you as you complete all of your classwork. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. Drop a comment in Google Classroom, email me, text me. You know how to contact me and reach me if you need to. Stay safe, stay connected, and show your work.